From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordeau, and this is your News 8 Daily for Friday, January 3rd. We are dipping down into cooler temps this morning. We had some precip overnight, and some of those roads could be slick as the temperatures dip into the 20s. Winds are going to pick up to 20 to 30 miles per hour at times. Wind chills are going to feel like the single digits today. But what we're really keeping an eye on is a storm system coming in this weekend. Storm Track 8's Tara Hastings is tracking a significant winter storm on Sunday.
So here's an early estimate of what we're thinking as far as snowfall amounts. On the low end, about 5 inches, maybe on the high end at 10 inches. And again, it all really depends upon where that sleet and freezing rain line sets up. But here is the point that we want to make. The timing is going to be on Sunday. Heaviest precipitation Sunday afternoon into the evening hours. And of course, that precipitation type, we're going to have to watch very closely here. Right now, it looks like some sleet and ice possible in southern Indiana, but we'll have to watch that line closely. But of course, the travel impacts could be difficult and some tricky travel Sunday afternoon into the evening hours.
Breaking news, police say one person is dead and a person of interest is detained after an early morning shooting on the near north side. It happened on North Capitol Avenue just before 4:15 this morning. Officers say they found a male with gunshot wounds. We do not know his age, but he died at that scene. Police say a gun deal gone bad has led to the first deadly shooting of the year in Indianapolis. One person is dead and 2 others are wounded. It happened last night on Capsella Lane in a neighborhood on the southeast side of the city. Police at the scene told us they think one of the people had a gun to sell. 1 or 2 other people showed up and an argument led to the gunfire. Investigators say 2 people who were in the house when it happened jumped out of a window and are cooperating with police. More breaking news. State police say several people are injured after multiple crashes involving 12 semis and several cars in northern Indiana. The wrecks happened just before 11 last night on I-65 northbound in Crown Point near US 231. State police say several drivers and passengers were taken to local hospitals with various injuries. One crash caused a diesel fuel tank spill and hazmat cleanup, but NDOT says all lanes are now back open. Your statewide news network covers Orange County, where there's new information on the search for a man police say shot a sheriff's deputy. State police say they are looking for 33-year-old Austin Sheppers. His photo is on our website, wishtv.com. Investigators have not released any details about the shooting, but police say Sheppers is 5'7" and has several tattoos, including a cross under his left eye. The state police say the suspect's car has been located in the area of Orangeville. That's in Orange County, northwest of French Lick. State police are asking anyone there to keep their doors and windows locked, as Sheppers is still at large and should be considered dangerous. If you think you have seen him, police say you should call the Bloomington State Police Post. Now to IT-Mate and the growing concern over violent parties at short-term rental properties in Indianapolis. Police say 16 people were arrested after gunfire and a dozen guns were found at a rental in Fountain Square. We covered the story as it was breaking yesterday on Daybreak. IT-Mate's Cody Fisher talked to a neighbor who's not happy with the owner.
Clay Doherty and his neighbor stood across the street from the short-term rental, talking about this chaotic scene and their frustration at the person who owns the home.
I think the owner knew that there was a problem potentially coming and didn't do anything to stop it, and that's not good for the neighborhood.
Doherty counted at least 20 shots. He called police as people ran away. IMPD arrived quickly, but they tell me some people got away. In total, they arrested 16 people and confiscated 12 guns. 15 people were arrested for visiting a common nuisance, and 1 person for possessing a gun while being a felon.
He had a machine gun conversion device on a handgun that had a 50-round drum magazine clip in it. So obviously he could have done a lot of damage with that.
Is this a classic example of why these sorts of parties at short-term rental properties can be so dangerous? Because I mean, if you saw 30 people running, you arrested 16, 12 handguns, that's a lot of potential violence packed into a very small space.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's why it is so concerning. So we have parties, people have parties all the time that don't result in violence, and we're grateful for that. But there are enough of these that do end up in, resulting in violence.
IMPD is trying to crack down on parties like this. A prime example of that is their arrest of Jalen Helm. He's charged with 18 felonies and 13 misdemeanors in connection to him promoting 11 parties in 2023 at short-term rental properties, many of which turned violent, including someone being murdered. Parties like that are what IMPD is trying to stop.
We're trying to do everything we can to try to prevent it before it gets started. So if we get wind of, somebody hosting a party, it sounds like it's going to be a big party at one of these, we'll reach out to them.
Doherty runs a short-term rental property himself. He says the ultimate fix to this problem has to come from everyone involved.
It's not like one thing's going to solve it, but ultimately personal accountability, and I think everybody needs to take a look at themselves and look at how they're going to do better.
Property tax records show this house is owned by someone who lives in Delphi. I reached out to them for a comment, but they have not called me back. Right now, IMPD is investigating to find out if this party is a part of a bigger party promotion ring, like the Jalen Helm case, or if this is a one-off event. Reporting in Fountain Square for ITV8, I'm Cody Fisher for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook for updates.
Police in Las Vegas now say a highly decorated Army soldier shot himself in the head just before fireworks exploded the Cybertruck he was in outside of a Trump hotel. The Clark County Sheriff says Matthew Liversberger rented the truck. He was a decorated Army Green Beret on leave from active duty in Germany. The FBI is investigating whether the incident may be tied to terrorism and is still working to determine a motive. But the agency says investigators have found no definitive link between this explosion and the attack in New Orleans. Investigators now say the New Orleans attacker acted alone. That's a change from earlier in the investigation when the FBI initially indicated he may have had accomplices ahead of driving a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street, leaving 14 victims dead. News 8's Kyla Russell talked to a woman from Indianapolis who is there with her family to see the Sugar Bowl. She described the atmosphere in the hours after the attack.
It was one time we were sitting there all day yesterday together, kind of all just in shock, right? And we had Georgia fans and we had Notre Dame fans all together cheering on the Rose Bowl, just watching football and just kind of like forgetting about what had happened.
Bourbon Street reopened yesterday ahead of the Sugar Bowl. The game included a moment of silence for the victims. Despite the delay, Notre Dame won the Sugar Bowl and is now headed to the college football playoff semifinals. The Fighting Irish beat Georgia 23-10. Fans here in Indianapolis gathered at Tom's Watch Bar to cheer on Notre Dame. Some are confident that the Fighting Irish can win it all.
I think that they might be favored the rest of the way. Ohio State looks pretty good, but there's some revenge there that Notre Dame would like to get against them.
I don't think Penn State's going to be the one to stop them. I don't think Texas is going to be the one to stop them. Ohio State. I don't think you could put the Kansas City Chiefs against them, and I don't think they'd win.
He's clearly very confident. Notre Dame will take on Penn State in the semifinals at the Orange Bowl in Miami on Thursday next week. In Pacers Watch, the team is heading home with the warmth of a win. Indiana got off to a very hot start against the Miami Heat. In Miami, Tyrese Halliburton had 16 points in the first quarter alone on his way to a game high of 33. He also dished out 15 assists with no turnovers. The Pacers cruised to a 128-115 win. Pacers host the Suns tomorrow at 7. 3 Indianapolis Colts players will be in the Pro Bowl this year. We first broke the news on Daybreak yesterday as the NFL announced the complete rosters for the 2025 Pro Bowl games. Running back Jonathan Taylor, guard Quentin Nelson, and linebacker Zaire Franklin will represent the Colts on the AFC roster in Orlando.
It's a lot of things are hard to come by in this league. So anytime you get a chance to represent, your team, the organization, in another event where other people are doing the same, it is meaningful.
This is Taylor's second Pro Bowl, Franklin's first, and the 7th consecutive Pro Bowl for Nelson. Peyton Manning is the only other Colts player ever to make the Pro Bowl 7 times in a row. Let's go to Jane King now at the New York Stock Exchange with your business headlines. She starts with news from Lilly.
So back in October, the FDA said that there was no longer a shortage of Lilly's Mounjaro and Zepbound. So compounding pharmacies had until March to stop selling their copycats. Since then, the compounders filed a lawsuit, and the FDA voluntarily reconsidered its decision. Now, Lilly has invested, of course, billions into the research of its drugs, and it says it can't rely on the FDA to fully defend it, so it is jumping into the legal fray here. Well, the car rental app used in both the New Orleans terror attack and the Vegas Cybertruck fire is getting a lot of attention. Bloomberg reports that Turo's safety team has cut their holiday vacation short to monitor and respond to the aftermath. The app, which uses an algorithm to determine the price of vehicle rentals, had planned a public stock offering this year, so no word on whether that will be delayed or what will happen with that. And rough waters for Royal Caribbean. A dozen passengers sued the company and a former crew member for filming them in their cabins while they were naked, including their children. Court documents filed in the Southern District of Florida show it was on the cruise line Symphony of the Seas ship with sail dates ranging from December of 2023 to January of 2024. The crew member, who was sentenced to 30 years in prison, uploaded images of the passengers to third parties and possibly posted them on the internet. Now, in a statement following the arrest, Royal Caribbean says it has zero tolerance for the unacceptable behavior. Well, companies are turning to new ways to dismiss employees in the hybrid work era. The Wall Street Journal reports some employers no longer feel obligated to deliver bad news face to face. Zoom calls, emails, even text messages to dismiss employees are becoming more common. And stocks started the year with some volatility. We looked pretty good early on, but had a 700-point swing in the Dow yesterday, so we ended up closing lower. This morning, we'll try again. The Dow is pointing to a higher start. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
In Washington, D.C., a battle over who will lead the slim Republican majority in the House plays out today. Current House Speaker Mike Johnson faces a challenge from the far-right Republicans who say he cut too many deals with Democrats in the previous Congress. President-elect Donald Trump has endorsed Johnson, but it is not clear if that will sway all Republicans to support him. Democratic Congressman Andre Carson from Indianapolis says the fight could be a preview of the entire session.
Well, I think it reflects the fracture that is the Republican Party. They're divided. There's infighting. You have different groups with different ideologies, and they can't seem to get on the right page.
If there is a long battle over the speaker, it could impact Monday's scheduled vote in Congress to certify the presidential election results. Speedway is known for big, fast cars, but small, slow ones are now legal on the town's streets. News 8's Colin Bailey is off of Main Street in Speedway this morning and says golf carts are now good to go.
Golf carts are now legal here in the town of Speedway. That went into effect January 1st, so on Wednesday, and yesterday was the first day that you can pick up your permit to ride your golf cart around here in Speedway. Well, let's get to some of the facts. The town council voted 5-0 during the November 25th council meeting. The new ordinance allows the legal use of golf carts on select approved streets if you are 18 and older, hold a valid operator's license, and provide proof of insurance. Golf carts are not allowed on every street. Some of those include 10th Street, Crawfordsville Road with the exception of the crossing at Winton Avenue, High School Road with the exception of crossings at 25th Street, Hickorywood Drive, and West 30th Street. You can find that full list of roads you cannot drive on our website. But people who live on any named prohibited streets may operate a golf cart on the prohibited street, but only to access the first available side street. Some other rules you must follow include you must obey all driver's licensing requirements in Indiana traffic laws and yield to the right-of-way of pedestrians, bicycles, and other vehicles. Golf carts are not permitted on any trail, sidewalk, or other walking path, and golf carts traveling on approved streets must adhere to 15 miles per hour no matter the posted speed limit. So again, you're only allowed up to go 15 miles per hour. If you're a Speedway resident, that permit costs you $100. If you're not a Speedway resident, it'll cost you $200, but you have to renew that every single year. But again, if you're going to be on these roads, 15 miles per hour is the limit that you can go. But for now on Main Street in Speedway, I'm Colin Bailey for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
As we brace for snow this weekend, the American Heart Association is giving some tips on how you can safely shovel. Research shows that many people may face an increased risk of heart attack or sudden cardiac arrest after shoveling heavy snow. The association suggests taking frequent breaks, not eating a heavy meal right before or after shoveling, using a smaller shovel, or consider using a snowblower if you have one. Also, learn the signs of a heart attack and go to a doctor if you think something is wrong. This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook for updates.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.